We are live. Hey, welcome everybody to the Connecting Faith and Business Summit Speaker Series. And today I have a dear friend, Keanon Alderson, who is amazing, who's joining me today. Hi, Keanon.
Hi, how are you?
You, I am very well. It's so fun to talk offline before we get going. Someone's like, "What did I say before?" So, Keanon, I'm putting up your official title. You're a professor of management and the director of the Cal Baptist University Family Business Center. Tell me a little bit about you and what you do at Cal CBU.
Well, I'm in my 18th year of being a professor here.
Wow.
Before that, I spent 17 years at my family's business, so I was a second generation family business member, and
Okay.
we didn't quite make it to have a full transfer of ownership and leadership from my mom and dad to my brother and I. So that's why this subject matter of succession is so near and dear to my heart. So
Oh goodness.
at CBU, as well as being a professor, I run the Family Business Center, which is a resource for all of the family businesses that are in the inland region, which there are a ton of them. We are number one in the entire country for having the most family-owned businesses in the Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario area than any other part of the country.
Wow. You mentioned I went to the Family Business Center for one of your very interesting, um, they're like in-person seminars, but you always have family-owned businesses get up and talk about what's worked, what hasn't, their struggles, their triumphs, and how to plan for the next generation
Right.
to hopefully want to continue the family business because you can't hold a gun to the kids' heads, right?
Right. So
As much as we like to.
yeah, there's different generational differences there, obviously, right? And
Yes.
we've all heard about the third generation curse. By then your family may have some significant wealth, and the young person may not want to go in the junkyard business. They may want to
Right.
do something else that's more interesting to them, right? So,
Right.
yeah,
Right. And just because it's interesting to you doesn't mean it's interesting
exactly,
to the
exactly.
kids. Yeah.
Well, second gen sometimes doesn't have any choice. I was told at 14 years old, hop in the truck, we're going to work.
Oh,
Okay, dad, you don't have a choice, right? But
what was your family business?
we owned a vitamin company. We manufactured vitamins and sold them under our own brand to drug and grocery stores. So we covered all the Western states. We had Albertsons, Safeway, Vaughn's, a bunch of
Really?
drugstores. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I miss it because
Oh,
sales meetings were a donut on the hood of the car, and we could make a lightning fast decision in 30 seconds and then start implementing it 1 second later. It was so much fun. I miss
wow.
it. I miss it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, now you can use all that knowledge, right, to pass on
yes,
to your
yes,
students and also at the Family Business Center, which is such an amazing, and it's part of the JABS Business Center or business
correct,
school, right?
correct. Yes,
Very
absolutely.
cool. Very cool. Well, we're on there today, as you can see with the ticking thing. We're talking about the event that's happening on October 19th, which is the Success in, so sorry, the Connecting Faith and Business Summit, which does help you bring success, right? And so if you have not secured your ticket yet, you could text the word faith to 71441 or just simply go to the website, which is connectingfaithandbusiness.com, because we're going to talk about, Keanon and I, why you should be at this event because it's an amazing, like you've been multiple years like I have, Keanon, right? What
Yes.
is some of the takeaways that you
Oh,
have gleaned from attending these events in the past?
number. I went to the very first one.
That was 15 years ago.
Yes, and
It's
and now
amazing.
here
15 years.
here we are 15 years later, and it just grows and grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger and better and better. The people that attend, number one, there's going to be hundreds of people there.
Yes.
Hundreds of people. It will be full. Number two, some of the speakers are just excellent, and it's inspirational, it's networking, it's helpful. They if they do the same thing they've done in the past, they always had these very small roundtable discussions where you're at a round table with a few other people and you could just network and get help from them, and they were expert at what they did, and it's extremely helpful. Extremely helpful. Everyone's friendly, of course, but it's very inspiring day, and we will hear from a lot of different speakers. It's fast paced. It's not going to be some 2 hour, uh, presentation where someone's really boring you to death. It's
Right.
fast pace.
Yes.
There's panel discussions like ours is going to be, and
Hmm.
it's going to move along, and then it's going to
Right.
be another subject and another subject. So it's
Yeah.
going to be great.
It is. And Hilda Kennedy, who founded this event and also is the founder of Impact Business Capital, she's very cognizant of time. And so she has packed so much, as you just mentioned. The event is 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. So you can get some stuff done at the office before you leave. And of course, there's going to be Wi-Fi. So if something happens, but we'd like people to obviously be engaged when they're there, because it's all about creating relationships, reinforcing relationships. And as a professor, I'm assuming you've invited your students to come.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's a
Absolutely.
great way to, like, even if they're trying to explore like what business I want to go to or go into, they can meet people in all kinds of industries that might spark an idea, because people don't really stick in the same job these days for 50 years like they used to, right?
They don't. They don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's unfortunately it's different in each generation, but the younger generation, they're going to change their career 6, 7 times during their life of work,
right, right.
and
Their tenure, their
yeah,
career.
and
Yeah. But
some
what's
of the
I think is
younger,
actually kind of cool, Keenan, because we all take from our past experience and then bring that perspective and that knowledge and that
right?
expertise into a new position. So I think the kids these days, makes me sound like a grandma.
Yeah,
Um, they actually are benefiting by getting experience from all different kinds of industries and bringing that, as long as they're bringing their best to that next company. I think a lot of times that's the complaint of kids these days, is that they're like just skating through. But I think that if they're inspired, they go to events like this and they see what's the possibility. Like they go, wow, I could really plug in to an amazing group of people and make a big difference
right.
in the world.
Absolutely. It's helpful to know, like say my college age students that are going to graduate this year and go out and get a job, who are they going to work for? Are they going to be working for someone that looks like me with gray hair and, is a baby boomer? Well, we have an interesting work ethic where work is fun and we just work all the time. And we have expectations for these young students on how we think the job should be done. So it's helpful to
Right,
understand when they come in texting and write a two line message. It's helpful for
right.
the younger generation to understand what the older generation is actually wanting them to do. So
Exactly. And I
little
think
less
if they
daunting.
can master that
Yes,
and they become good communicators, I mean, that's what college is for, right? Learning how to be
right.
a good communicator so you can respect the generation above you and how they do things, and then pull the best of the best into your culture, your generation, and make the best of it, because they're going to be in that same position in 20 years where
Yes,
they're looking back and going, what are these kids like? They're calling the babies now, they have like Gen Z, or whatever. Now they're like Gen B. They're starting over. B, C, D. You're like, these Gen Fs are nuts. In my day, we would just text. Now there's holographic images and blah, blah, blah. These kids.
right, right, exactly. And they're
Yeah,
so, and a strong benefit for this younger generation is they're just so in touch with technology. They were born with it, right? And so
right.
they embrace technology and are just great at it. Where the
Yes.
older generation, for the most part, not as good, at
But they
least.
are getting good like you, Keenan. Look at you mastering technology today. I'm
That's
so,
funny, Mary. That's
I'm
very complimentary.
so proud of you. Again, what do we say? This is, again, I'll share it, the World Wide Web. My mother would teach me that the words that come out of your mouth, your ears hear, and your brain makes it true. God created us this way. So it's important for us to say the positive things, like, I'm great at technology. I learn something new every day that makes me a blessing to others who I can help as well.
Right.
Right. Then
Amen.
eventually your brain's going to, oh, yeah, I am good at technology. I will do that. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox. All right. Let's talk about your role at the Connecting Faith and Business Conference. You are a moderator
Yes.
for business and faith based leaders, a moderator for a panel discussion called Bigger Than That, which is the theme. And it's Meet the Experts. And I've actually put this in here so we could see what it was, because you are doing a session on exiting, succession, the next generation, leaving in styles, starting today. So tell us a little bit about this, because you have a lot of experience in this.
In So coming at it from a family business perspective, and you could also do small business perspective as well.
Sure.
80% of all the family firms that went bankrupt, they went bankrupt due to a failed succession or the failure to even plan for a succession.
Right.
Here's the worst thing that can happen is a business, and all of a sudden, let's just say mom calls one of my students in class and says, "Come home now, I need you to run the company. Dad's had a heart attack," right? Well, if they've not met the employees, if they've not met the customers or the suppliers, and if the banker doesn't feel comfortable with them, the suppliers are not going to issue credit anymore. It's now going to be COD, and the banker's probably not comfortable with a few $100,000 worth out in a loan, and they may call it in, right? So it's a long
Wow.
term succession is a long term process, not a one time event. So it needs to be planned now. Even if you don't plan on selling, even if you don't plan on having a succession, it needs to have at least a plan and some thought to
Right.
how are we going to exit, who's going to take over, things like that, so that if something were to happen, we are prepared, right? And
Right.
that will keep us from having a problem that could make us go out of business.
Right.
It is the number one problem within family firms. It is by far the number one problem. It
Well, something before you go on, something that you made me think of is just like when you have kids and you have a fire drill, right? You've pre-planned how you're going to get out of the house.
Yes,
Going, where to go if there's a problem, going to a fire station, right? You plan these things with your kids.
right.
Same thing with your business, because maybe nothing will ever happen. And what a great problem to have, that everything goes smoothly. You decide, I'm going to retire. And because you have the succession plan in place, you can actually sell your business to someone other than your kids. Because they
Yeah,
might, people change their mind. They might say, yay, when they're 13. And when they're 23, they're like, heck no, tech no, I'm not going to do that.
right.
So if you have the succession plan in place, and then you have somebody who comes with a big bag of money, and you're like, yeah, I can retire and sit in Tahiti on the island with a margarita.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, kids, you don't want it. Okay, I'm going to sell it to the highest bidder. So
Right, right.
I think it's awesome that you're doing that. So the people that are going to be on your panel
Yes.
are people. Tell me a little bit about the people that are going to be on.
Experts. So we're going to have a financial planning expert who does financial planning as well as insurance. And so that is someone who is extremely experienced with the ins and outs of how to prepare for retirement. A reason why the incumbent generation wants to kick this can down the road and avoid this discussion is they're concerned about death. They're concerned about boredom of what am I going to do? Sit on the front porch and be in my rocking chair, right? There's this
Right.
hard charging entrepreneurial personality, and all of a sudden I feel my kids are trying to put me out to pasture, so they
Mm,
resist and they avoid it, and then something bad happens and now they're in an emergency, right?
right. And
So
you can't
well,
make a good decision in an
yeah,
emergency. Yeah.
exactly. We need planning,
Right.
right? So the financial planner helps us do that, right? We're going to have a certified professional accountant, right? So a CPA. And so they have stories and can tell, we will tell some horror stories of things
Good.
that have gone wrong, of what not to do and
Yes.
why it was so important. And then they
I
will
think we
say,
learn more from failures than we do
correct,
for success,
correct,
because that's how our little human brains are made. We always remember the
yeah,
bad stuff, unfortunately. So
right.
it's helpful to share the horror stories. I love that.
Exactly, exactly. So we'll have an attorney as well. Obviously, they're very well versed in this and writing up the contract of what to do and what not to do, things like that. Real quick, one quick horror story that I became familiar with. I was talking to my banker, and it was a small privately held business, a husband and a wife, and the husband did not have his wife on the checking account, and for the business, and he
Oh,
died, and she's needing to pay employees and she can't do it. She had to go through probate for a whole year. I don't know the end of this story, but let's just say that would be a disaster. She was begging the banker, please, I need to do this. I need to have access to those funds. And he couldn't do it because she wasn't on the checking account and he just couldn't do it. That's
and
terrible.
he didn't have a trust in place at all.
Poor, poor, poor planning. Right? Just poor planning. So that's the gist of, hey, we're going to plan. We're going to need all these professionals to give us good advice, right? The Bible tells us there's wisdom and good counsel, right? We're going to
Yes.
get good advice. We're going to create a plan. and we'll have it moving forward, whether we sell it to our children or sell it to someone else, or we don't need it at all, but at least it's there. In
I
my
love it.
in my family's firm, we ran our company using a tax minimization strategy. My
Okay.
father did not want to pay the government any more than he had to, right?
My dad was the same way. He had his
So
own business.
there
Yes.
you go. So you know the perks of a business, right?
Yeah.
You know the
We,
perks.
as children, were loaded into the car after 3 days of the high stress tax. Like the whole house was covered in tax receipts. And we were loaded in the car at 11:45 so we could drop the tax
Oh,
off
oh
because
yeah.
dad didn't want any minutes to go by that he had pay before he had to. So at 11:55, little Mary was handling the envelope out the window to the postal worker.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
I was like, I don't think they open the mail until tomorrow, Dad. You could probably get it any time. No, we have to get it right before midnight. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah,
Right.
sorry. I
Right.
just had a flashback. I had to
Yeah,
share it with you.
exactly. I've been there myself. I've been there myself. So yeah.
I'm sorry, say it again. So you're saying that your family was on the
Tax minimization strategy.
got
And
it?
then when we decided to sell, but since we were writing everything off, how you turn a vacation into a business write off because you go do a little bit business over, there's lots of different things you can do, right? And so, we're trying to minimize the amount of profit from our business by maximizing write offs. Well, when it's time to sell, yeah, don't get a really great multiple or price for your company because you ran it that way. So
Right.
now the better way of thinking is with this succession plan and with this estate planning and all the things that we need to do is maximize the value of that company just in case something goes wrong. And now you can sell it and benefit your beneficiaries with as high of a price, high of a multiple as possible. That's the wiser thing to do. It's important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So at this event, I was actually typing in kind of like what the panel experts will be in each of these areas is going to kind of help with this idea. Um, it says starting today, and something that I saw was, um, a question had come up before was when do you need to start planning succession? Would it be today, or is there a good time when someone has a business when they should start planning it for
Great.
succession?
That is a great question. We say a minimum of 5 years before you think you need to. But an adage is it's never too early. And on your first day in the door, you should be planning succession on your very first day there because you never know when it's going to happen, right?
Right.
You just don't know.
And you also have that peace of mind, I think, when you know everything is cinched up and that you can focus on the business, making, the revenue and doing all the things. But if you know that's tucked away, you
Right.
have a file, you have a safe deposit box, you have your banks, you have everybody on it. It just seems to be like one less thing to worry about,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's another good story. So
Awesome.
at the Family Business Center, our second speaker, in fact, I met him through Hilda's event. He was a
Okay.
speaker at one of these events years and years ago, and I never forgot his story. At 19 years old, his dad died, and he's 19. His mom was not in condition to run the business, so here he is stuck with this very large business with 5 manufacturing plants and
Oh,
he's 19 years old,
oh,
right? And so what he did was, yeah, he
the pressure, the poor guy.
pressure. This is terrible. This is the
Oh,
worst thing that could happen, right? And no succession plan, right? And so what he did was he went to the elders of his church, and they sort of formed a board of advisors and
oh,
helped him move along, and he succeeded, and he's still succeeding today. His daughters are now the fourth generation, and they want nothing to do with truck manufacturing parts.
how
But
weird. Why wouldn't they? That's so
they,
cool.
yeah, why wouldn't they? They've been successful for so many generations that they have the luxury of doing something else. So he
Right,
at this point he's hoping for maybe they'll marry someone that loves trucks, and wants to run a company.
right,
He may have to sell, who knows. So
right.
but we're going to develop a plan with all those contingencies in place so that when the time comes, we're ready and we've already thought about it and we've thought about the tax implications and we've talked to all of our experts. that can help us do this excellent plan.
I love it. Thank you, Keenan, for the work you're doing. I know you just received a large grant for the Family Business Center, so you can offer more exciting things
Yes.
for our local families, which you said is the largest concentration of family-owned businesses is in the Inland Empire, Southern California region.
Yes. Yes.
And so people really need the help. So, Keenan, thank
Right.
you for the
Right.
work you're doing to keep it going. Because I think that when you're around like-minded people, just like at the tying it right back, Connecting Faith and Business Summit, when you're around like-minded people who all are kind of are driven and need to have. They say that, what is that expression? You make up the five people you surround yourself with. I don't know that expression. So if you're hanging out with people who just play video games all day,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
You want to
Yes.
be with other people who are building their family business and that they
Yes.
are moving towards a goal to, again, glorify God. And that's a neat thing about the Connecting Faith and Business too, is that you're with like-minded believers who, it's a place that we can actually, not that we're being, praise God, we live in America where we're not being condemned for our faith as much as they are in other countries. But it's also a sigh of relief that you can talk freely about the blessings that your business is providing and the glory that God has, you're glorifying God through your work, and that people don't look at you funny when when you talk the Christianese.
Yeah. Correct. Correct. At the School of Business here, we believe that you can make profit while serving God. So that it's an ethical way to make money. Because if we create a business and it has no purpose, it doesn't serve a need. People don't want the product. They see no need for the product. They don't want the product. You're going to go out of business, right?
Right.
So business actually serves the public good by providing goods and services to the community. And
Yes.
if we don't charge a little bit more than we paid for it, things happen. We have overhead, we have rent, we have taxes, we have all sorts of things we have to pay. So
Right.
profit is not a dirty word. So the
Right.
people that will be coming on October 19th are small business owners looking to grow their business and grow it in an ethical way. They'll hear from inspiring speakers who will motivate. They'll go home excited.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, every year I always say that the Holy Spirit shows up because I mean, confused with this sense of joy and possibility, and to see what's possible, I think is a feeling that you get when you come to this event. It is one of the most friendly events
Yes.
that there is.
And
So
the thing that I particularly like about it is there are so many speakers. And all of a sudden, you're listening to this very, very fascinating speaker, and then he's done in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And you can go up and talk to him and network with that person, right? And then an hour or two later, you hear another fascinating lady and her business, right? And you can go up and network with her and talk with her. That is important and vital and on the rare side,
right,
you
right.
know?
Yeah, firsthand connection. I love that.
Mhm.
That's a really good point. And also, there's exhibitor booths and things like to find resources to make your life easier,
Right.
software that you might not have been aware of, different resources people might not know there's a family business center that they can go to and
Correct.
get advice or support, or just a place to fellowship with
Yes.
people that are in the same place they're at. So that's awesome. Well, listen, Keenan, I know you're a busy guy, and I would thank you so much for your time. I just want to say again, if you have any time at all on the 19th, please make it a point to go get your tickets at Connecting Faith and Business Summit. No, connectingfaithandbusiness.com, or just simply text faith to 71441. You'll get a little link. You can buy that ticket. But here's a couple of things I wanted to bring up before we get off. So if you go to buy a ticket, think, who can I can bring with me, right? Because it's more fun to do things with a friend. For every friend you bring, you're going to get a raffle ticket. It's all on the good faith. But you say, hey, I brought 5 friends, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to give you 5 raffle tickets, and we're putting together a big basket. And the people who brought friends have more chances to win that fun basket, which is a really fun thing. And if you've ever been at this event before, when you register, you just at the event in person, you say, oh, this is my third time, or this is my 10th time. We're going to be giving legacy ribbons to
Oh,
people because we're celebrating it's the 15th annual. And so we want to celebrate people who have come more than once. So make sure you say if you brought a friend or if you've been there before, so we can recognize you for being a part of the family at Connecting Faith and Business. So Yay. All right. Well, Keanon, thank you again for your time. Thank you for being an overcomer. Thank you for your time with moderation. That you're going to have so much fun interviewing people, because
It's
I know
fun.
that's where that's like your gifting is
It's
bringing the
oh,
best out of people.
it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy that. It's fun. And our panel, we had so much fun. We've done small ones for the last few months where we did the CPA by themselves, the CFP by themselves. So we've done little Zoom ones, right, that have
Yeah.
been smaller in time duration, but we were laughing and having a great time.
That's awesome. In fact, I'm looking on the list. You're going to have an attorney, a CPA. I mean, people that are been in the trenches who know the answers. And then, like you said, after the panel, they'll be in the audience. You can go up
Exactly.
and say, "Hey, that thing you brought up, can you tell me like how you did that, or where to get that, or whatever?"
Right.
So you
Right.
can leapfrog over a lot of the issues you might be dealing with and
Yes.
find the solution when you come. And I always believe, especially at this conference, that there is divine appointments. And there might be somebody waiting to meet you that you don't even know. And when you come to this event, there they are. And they're like, oh my gosh, how have we not been friends our whole life? Like, this is the person I've been.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's where
exactly.
I first met you. Right.
Right.
That
And we're friends for life.
that's where I first met your previous interviewer, Ernie Silvers, right?
Yes.
So he was wonderful.
Yes. He's a
Um,
big fan of you. We're big.
but
In fact, I told everyone, and I haven't really made you laugh, which is my bad. We were promoting on the show yesterday that you have the best laugh on the planet.
I,
Seriously, like
I try to keep it
infectious.
under control for professionalism reasons.
No, I think people need to laugh. It's especially these days. I think when you have such an infectious laugh. So I'm not going to make you laugh now. This is a tease for people to come to this event, because we're going to make you laugh, and I'm going to record it, because it is a phenomenal laugh. It is giddy. It's like giddy laughter. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to sum up. We're going to finish up. Everyone, thank you for joining us today on the Connecting Faith and Business 23, CFB 23 speaker series. And we have like 4 more coming up, 2 next week, 2 week the week after. So come learn about the speakers and the panelists and what's happening, and share this with your friends. If you can, take this video and sprinkle it amongst your community. We don't want to say the other word because Facebook might shut us down. But share it amongst your community so you can spread the love. And maybe, again, you can bring a couple friends and win a big prize, which will be fun. All right. Until next time, thanks a lot, everybody. God bless you. And we'll see you at the Connecting Faith and Business Summit.
All
Take
right.
care. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Keenan.
Mary.